Hi, everyone, and welcome to this webinar entitled Lead and Manage Effectively. I am your presenter, Tiffany Mills Howell, and I am a licensed clinical mental health counselor. So, before we get started, I want to go ahead and put a disclaimer out there. I've been a manager or supervisor or leader in different organizations and businesses. So, the information that I am presenting to you is either from personal experience or is from research I've completed. So let's jump right in. The objective of this webinar is for me to be able to define what a leader, manager, and effective mean, how it looks to be a leader versus a manager, being able to merge both roles of being a leader and a manager, applying leadership and management skills, being able to discuss how to be the best at leading and managing, and also discussing communication because communication is the key for successful leadership and management. So let's discuss the target audience. The audience that would be able to benefit from this training includes managers and supervisors, organizational presidents, team members, teachers, religious or spiritual leaders, and students. And as we go through this webinar, you may be able to point out some additional audiences that would be able to benefit from this presentation. So now let's define leader and manager. Leaders have people follow them, and managers have people who work for them. So, for example, when I was the president of the chapter of my sorority, I would consider myself a leader because I had people following me. But as a supervisor at an organization that I worked for, Easter Seals UCP, I had people who worked for me. So that's the difference with an example of a leader and a manager. Next up, let's define effective. So effective means to do something well and achieve a desired result that was intended. If we put the definition of leader, manager, and effective together, it means that to be an effective leader and manager, one must be intentional. We write the vision. We develop the SMART goals, specific goals, measurable goals, achievable goals, and attainable, relevant, and time-based goals. And then we put all those things into place in order to achieve the results that we're looking for. So now, what does a leader versus a manager look like? How different are both of these, the leader versus the manager? Here we can see that leaders create the vision and managers carry out the vision. Leaders embrace change to move forward. Managers stick with what works but can implement ideas of change. Leaders stand out in the crowd and take risks, but managers, they usually adapt to the behaviors or risk. Leaders build relationships. Managers build successful systems and processes. Leaders see the potential in others. Managers assign tasks and explain how to accomplish those tasks. Leaders have people who help build their brand, and managers, on the other hand, have people who follow their direction to please them. So, how do we take the role of a leader and the role of a manager and merge them together? Or can they be merged together? According to Go to HR article on leadership, it indicates that a successful business owner needs to be both a strong leader and manager to get their team on board to follow them towards the vision of success. So, leadership is more about getting people to understand and believe in your vision and work with you to achieve it. But managing is about administration, making sure the day to day things are happening. And even though this article says being a successful business person, this can go for anyone who wants to be successful. Replacing your position with the word business owner, whether your position with your organization is being a spiritual leader, whether it's being a student, a teacher, a manager, being the president of the organization. How do these things work together as a leader and manager to be able to be successful? You have to be able to see the whole puzzle. And that's what being a leader and manager and bringing those things together gets. Is you able to see the whole picture, the whole puzzle, knowing how things function, remembering the purpose of each piece of this puzzle so that you'll be able to give specific instructions when needed. So can you see yourself as both a leader and a manager? Applying leadership and management skills. So in these next couple of slides, I'm going to show you how to apply leadership and management skills as one, or how to do one or the other. So let's take a team member first. So a team member can display leadership and management skills. As a team member, they can develop positive relationships with other members, influence others to change when necessary, and help diffuse situations with calm conversations. So when you think of a team member, you can think of someone actually at an organization or a job, or you can think of a student in a classroom who's a team member of a group that has to come together. So looking at how that team member can use both leadership and management skills in order to be a good leader and or manager. Let's continue with applying leadership and management skills with discussing religious and spiritual leaders. So religious and spiritual leaders may create a vision for their organization or a specific time period to work towards the vision, and they may place leaders in positions to carry out the vision or create steps towards the goal. In turn, the leaders have a group of persons they work with to carry out the task. So we can have the religious leader, or some may see their religious leader as a pastor, and then that pastor may put in place a youth leader to be able to work towards the goal or the vision they have. And that youth leader may have leaders under them that they discuss with, or a group of people they discuss, hey, we want to carry out these tasks by doing these things, or getting ideas from the leaders or from those specific people in the group in order to carry out the vision, the big vision of the religious or spiritual leaders. So I gave you an example of how it looks to be a leader and manager, and then I gave you an example of how it would look for maybe a person in a spiritual position to be in leadership. So let's get a little personal, giving you a personal example of what if I only identify with one? Because not every situation or position calls for a person to be a leader and a manager. So therefore, those skills can be used independently. So, as the president of the chapter organization or sorority that I'm a part of, I feel as though I show leadership skills because being the president, I was able to put chairmen in place in order to manage the details of the vision that was given. And in turn, those chairpersons were able to put members in place or to assist the members under them to work towards that vision. And always remembering and keeping in mind that one position is not more important than the other position because everybody works together in order to progress or to move toward the vision. We talked about the role of just being a leader. So now let's talk about the role of just feeling like you're a manager. When I was a manager at Easter Seals UCP, I carried out the vision of the organization. I hired staff to provide services. I reiterated policies and procedures. I conducted trainings for staff on providing the services to the clients and their families that were needed. And I conducted evaluations of the staff's progress. So as a manager, I was able to take that vision and break it down into more details and able to carry out those details and have staff to carry out the organization's goals or vision for the clients and for their families and community. What does being the best mean to you? My hope is that every leader and every manager wants to not only be good, but they want to be better. And once they become better, they're motivated to become the best. So we'll go through 5 things that leaders and managers will look at in order to become the best that they can be. Number 1, being self aware, being aware of who you are, being aware of your strengths, and being aware of your weaknesses. Knowing what boundaries to put in place, knowing what people to put in place. We have to know as leaders and managers what we're good at and what areas we need improvement in. So as we work together as a team, we'll know who to put where. Number 2, knowing your role and expectations. I know that I'm a manager, or I know that I'm a leader, or I know that I'm both of these things, but what am I responsible for? What are the things that I'm in charge of other than people? What are those things under my title? I need to know those things because those people who are supporting me, those people who I'm supervising, want to make sure that they have a leader or a manager that knows what they're doing. Number 3, being the best means being patient and being a good listener. Nobody wants to be ignored. Everybody wants to be heard. And as leaders and as managers, we are responsible for listening to individuals, even if we feel like what they're saying we don't understand, even if we feel like what they're saying is another complaint, we should listen. Still listen so that we can respond appropriately and we can respond professionally. Let me give you an example. So you may be coming into work, and before you can get in the building to get your cup of coffee, you see Miss Mary coming towards you. Now you already know Miss Mary is going to have a complaint because Miss Mary always complains about something. So when Miss Mary approaches you, the professional thing to do may be to say, "Good morning, Miss Mary. Okay, you want to talk to me? Well, let me go to my office and give me about 5 minutes." And in that 5 minutes, you can be getting your coffee so you can get your mind right. You can be just thinking about, okay, let me listen. Let me listen. Because sometimes we have to tell ourselves what we need to do because we may not be the best at it. So I need to be a good listener. And as Miss Mary is talking, making sure that you're listening to her. And once she finishes, you can just simply say, "Okay, Miss Mary, all right, I see your concerns. Let me ask you to do something for me. Can you make a list of those concerns? And beside those concerns, give some solutions. What do you feel like would be the best way to handle these things?" And in about a week, I'll put you on my calendar and you can come back to me and we can go over those solutions to some of the problems that are some of the issues that you have presented to me. So you're being patient, you're being a good listener, and you're asking Miss Mary to go do something so that she can realize, okay, I'm not only coming with an issue, but I can also come with solutions. So maybe this can be some of her routine that she puts in place before she comes with an issue or a concern. So you're planting a seed. And that's always a good thing to plant a seed. So hopefully that person will be able to take what you have given them and use that, continue to use that. Now, Miss Mary might not come next week with anything. She may not come at all. She may say, "Hey, don't worry about it. I thought about it. I think things are going well." Or she may come and she may come with some solutions, which would be great. Awesome. Thank you, Miss Mary. Let's look at these things and let's see what we can do. Or she may come and she just may have those list of complaints. And that's when we have to tap into that patience again. And we have to tap into that good listening again and be able to give her further direction, whatever that direction may be. Number 4, trusting those under your influence. So I can almost guarantee you that leaders and that managers do not want to have to micromanage individuals. We hire individuals, we elect individuals, we put people in places that we trust will be able to carry out those duties and responsibilities. So a lot of times, what we would like is to be able to say, hey, here's a task, here are the details, here's the date that we're asking it be completed by, and be able to give that to that person, walk away, and when we come back, the work is done. Number 5, seeing people as individuals. So this statement alone can mean different things to different people. One person might look at this statement and say, I want you to show me how important I am. I would love for you to tell me how important I am and give you some examples of how a person can do that. Someone else might look at this statement and say, to me, it means showing me respect. No matter your position, no matter my position, just showing respect. For someone else, this may mean I'm a team member, but I also am an individual. So sometimes I would like for you to look at me as a team member, and sometimes I want to shine as an individual. So everything we've talked about so far is very important. Everything we've talked about. But this communication, I believe, is literally the key that unlocks so many things when it comes to the relationship between a leader or manager and the individuals that serve under them. So communication starts conversations. Communication can be used to be effective in commitments. Communication enhances honesty. It encourages motivation and new ideas. So let's go ahead and unlock conversations. So conversations, having issues, having concerns, talking about these things. Why are we not talking about what is going on within our organization or within our groups? A lot of times I've found that it's because someone doesn't want to hurt someone else's feelings. Someone thinks that, oh, if I say this, then this person is going to feel this way. Another person may say, I'm not a confrontational person, so I don't want to have that conversation. I'm not a confrontational person either, but I know that as a good leader and as a good manager, there are things that we have to confront, and there are issues that we need to put out on the table so that we can be able to process it and we can move forward and we can be successful in our end goal for our organization and for our group. So having those conversations are very important, no matter if you feel like the conversation is a good conversation, a bad conversation, you're really not sure what's going to happen after the conversation. We need to have those things. We need to communicate our thoughts and our feelings so that we can move forward. Okay, so next, let's unlock commitment. So, open communication encourages staff members to be committed to a vision of an organization. It encourages members to be committed to a group. So, people who commit to things believe in the vision, they believe in the big picture. And the way that they believe in those things is that the leader or the manager that's discussing these things with them, that's drawing this painting for them, they're encouraging, they're giving them the details. And when they have those details, what the role of the manager and the leaders are, what their role is, and how that fits within the vision, then they commit more. They're able to commit to something. So, as a supervisor or as a manager of the organization that I was with, Easter Seals, I hired people. And when I hired them, I had that opportunity to go through the vision of the organization. I had the opportunity to be able to say, hey, this is how you fit in the organization. These will be your duties and responsibilities. And throughout that time, when they became a staff, I was able to continue to encourage them. And my commitment actually encouraged them to also be committed. Because as a leader, they're looking at me to see what I'm going to do. And a lot of times, individuals look at leaders and say, hey, if they can do it, I can do it too. If they can be committed, I can be committed. Honesty. So, how does honesty and communication go hand in hand? I wouldn't want my leader or my manager not to be honest with me because if I feel like they can't be honest with me about what's going on, about my performance, if they can't be honest with me and communicate with me about that, then why would I want to follow their leadership? It's just as simple as that. So being honest with your staff, being honest with the members of a group, it goes a long way. Motivation. This is a good one right here. Motivation. So, unlocking the motivation of your staff, unlocking the motivation of your group members, your team members. How can we do that as leaders and as managers? So, one simple thing that we can do is we can actually send out a survey asking them, what can we do to motivate you? What can we do to make you want to go that extra mile? What can we do to put a smile on your face or to relieve any stress that you may have? What are some of the things that we can do? So, sending out a survey. One thing that I used to do is that I used to take thank you cards and write personal messages in them to the staff to let them know how much I appreciated them. I used to have little luncheons or little snacks for them. They can come throughout the day and come get something to eat during certain times. I had staff who could come before 5. I had staff who could only come after 5. So I stayed after 5 so that they would be able to come and to enjoy also. And that motivated them because they looked at me as someone who cared enough to not leave the office at 5 o'clock and say, oh, well, you don't get what other people got because they work before 5. No, I had to make some adjustments in order to show the staff that I appreciated them. And that motivated them to do an extra great job. That motivated them to stay on with the company. Last but not least, new ideas. So if you don't hear anything else I said about communication, please hear this. New ideas don't only have to come from you as a leader. You have a group, a team of people that work together. Take advantage of that. Allow them to use their brains, use their gifts, use whatever they bring to the table to give new ideas for different projects or different things that your organization is doing. Allow them to communicate that with you and communicate with them and let them know that I'm not the only one here with good, bright ideas. We all have those ideas. So let's put them all on the table. Let's go through them and let's search and look for the ones that are going to benefit our organization, our vision, our mission. I'm going to leave you all with this information that I included on my social media with Enhance Your Life Center. As I thought about leadership and how we use our different senses in leadership, I came up with this. A great leader uses all their senses. They use their eyes. to see each piece of the vision. They use their ears to hear another person's perspective. They use their mouth to speak positive words. They use their hands to convey enthusiasm. And they use their taste to identify different learning styles. I want to thank you so much for joining me in this webinar, Lead and Manage Effectively. I hope that you were able to get some information to take back with you and to be able to implement some of the things that you have learned. Again, I am Tiffany Mills Howell. I am the CEO of Enhance Your Life Center, PLLC. And here I have provided my email address, TiffanyMH at enhanceyourlifecenter.com. And I've provided my phone number, 336-438-2107, and also the website, www.enhanceyourlifecenter.com. I would love for you all to first go and like my Facebook page, my business Facebook page. Go and follow me on Instagram. But also, if you would send me an email and let me know how you like this webinar, if you had any additional questions, do you have any additional topics that you want to hear from me? Please email me those things. I would really, really appreciate it. And also, when you go and view my site, go ahead and look up the other services that I provide. I provide CPR and first aid. I provide motivational speaking. And I also provide outpatient therapy. Until next time, enjoy.